Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Data here. Breaking news in the NHL earlier today as Patrick Kane, the long-awaited Patrick Kane signing, finally came to be. We've been waiting a long time for that shoe to drop. Would it be Detroit? Would it be Dallas? Would it be Buffalo? Patrick Kane has signed with the Detroit Red Wings a one-year contract for $2.75 million. We're going to break it all down. What does this mean for Patrick Kane going down the road in the future? Could he be a long-term fit with the Red Wings? What could be in store for him in the future? Coming off of surgery, coming off of a major surgery, actually, hip resurfacing surgery. Welcome to everyone joining the stream. Thank you for everyone hopping in. A little evening stream here as I wasn't able to get to the breaking news as it happened earlier in the day, unfortunately, with the full-time work. Welcome to everybody joining in. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello. A pleasure to see you all. Not always something that we do in the middle of the regular season, trade deadline, free agency, we have a lot to say, but not always on a random November evening, right? So let's start breaking down, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick Kane, now a member of the Detroit Red Wings. The lineup right now is not particularly impressive. Give me a second here. I don't want to show a million ads. I'd rather just show you what I want to show you. So if we can go and look at the lineup right now in Detroit, as you can see here it is. The Detroit Red Wings lineup right now is not particularly impressive. I won't lie. I like the Red Wings. I think that they're making great strides this season, but I wouldn't say this is the most impressive Detroit lineup. Now, get Dylan Larkin back in. He's out for a couple games. Slot the centers down a little bit. If I'm going to go ahead and put Patrick Kane on that first line with Larkin and DeBrincat, which then allows the second line to be like Comfort, Kopp, and Raymond, for example, then that third line can be Rasmussen, it would be Perron, let's say Fabry, and then even Veleno. And then that fourth line can pretty much stay the same. The Rasmussen goes down. I like that depth a lot more. Take this lineup, add in Patrick Kane and Dylan Larkin, and take out, let's say, Christian Fischer and Klim Kostin. I like this lineup a lot more. The top six, I forgot about Jonathan Berggren. If the top six is going to be Larkin, Kane, DeBrincat, Comfer, Fabry, and Raymond, and that's not even with Perron or Kopp or anything else, I do think that this lineup is a little better than we would initially think. I don't think on paper it really jumps out at me, but when I think about it seriously, if that's my top six, which allows a guy like David Perron to be on the third line, Berggren to be on the third line, maybe even Kopp or Comfer centering that third line, I do like that versatility. I do like those options for Detroit a lot more than what they have right now, which is they're being forced to have guys like Comfort and Berggren in their top six. Take away the injuries, give them a fully healthy team. I love this option for Detroit, especially as such a playmaker in Patrick Kane. Give him Alex DeBrincat, give him Dylan Larkin on his line. This could be great right here. Would there be a data cast if Phil Kessel got signed? You know what? I'd probably go ahead and do it. I'd find a way to do it. And yes, Dylan Sprong will be giving up his number to Patrick Kane. Legend saying, I like this move for Detroit. Low risk and moderate to high reward. Well, let's start breaking it down. What kind of reward could we see? Let's start looking at the JFresh analytics as always. Now, Patrick Kane, take this with a grain of salt because Patrick Kane is not someone who looks great in the JFresh analytics, but we're going to break it down a little bit and see where does he look good and where does he maybe not look so good. So historically, at his best, Patrick Kane, a monster. You see him in the 98th percentile of projected wins above replacement, 98th percentile of goals per 60, 95th percentile of primary assists per 60. He's drawing penalties. He has high levels of 100th percentile of finishing. This guy is pretty much as elite as they come, especially as a player who can score and dish the puck extremely well. At his best, he was one of the best players in the NHL. Now, as the years have gone on, as the Blackhawks have gone downhill, so has Patrick Kane. I think that's partially in part to the level of competition he's been playing with. As you can see, it drops off a cliff pretty much from 2020 to the present day. The defense has always been pretty low, so that's not really what we're caring about too much as we see the 7th percentile of even strength defense. By the way, these numbers are looking at 2016 at the moment. The defense has never really been anything. What's good news is that the finishing has always been quite strong. So take that to really understand that the finishing has always been quite strong despite the drop-off in every other category. The finishing is still there. So the talent is there. I do think that there is a large element that goes into the level of competition he's been playing playing with, his level of teammates. But at the same time, he is getting older. He does need to kind of redefine the game a little bit. He's been, never a defensive force. But if he becomes so much of a defensive liability, there's only so much that a team can take before they need to say, hey, you're not pulling enough of your weight offensively. Speaking of offensively, if we just look at the numbers quickly, when he was in New York for his little stint with the Rangers, if this could load, there we go, 12 points in 19 games. I think a lot of people thought that Patty Kane wasn't necessarily super impressive, but to put up 12 points in 19 games on a brand new team, coming from a team where he had just put up 45 points in 54 games on like a horrible Blackhawks squad, he only played 54 games, and he still finished the season as the second highest scorer on the team. So I think that really says something, that Patty Kane really can still do it, but you got to put him in the right environment. He's not going to be putting up 30, 40 goals anymore, but he could still do, as we've seen, 25 goals, 60 plus assists with the Blackhawks in 2022-23. If I pull out the calculator here, he was on pace to do 24 goals and 44 assists. So he's definitely still able to do that. Now, put him in Detroit, where he can be playmaking for one of the better finishers in the league in an Alex DeBrincat. Put him with a high offensive talent like Dylan Larkin. Put him on a power play where you can see Shane Gostisbehere in there even as well at full health on the first power play unit here. I am very excited for what kind of offensive numbers he could put up. Now, let's not blind ourselves too much. Now let's look at the numbers in more recent history. This was Patrick Kane's card on January 27th, 2023, before the Rangers traded for him. So as of January 2023, looking over the last 3 years, so 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022, and half of 2022, 2023, Patrick Kane had gone off a cliff at this point. He was in the second percentile of even strength offense, the bottom of the league for even strength defense, yet still in that 85th percentile of primary assists per 60. Now, give him a good little boost on the Rangers. His numbers don't, it's a 3-year average. They don't improve by a ton, but you do see that his goals and assists per 60 go from 41.85 to 64.88. So they're over a 3-year span. Just give him 20 games with the Rangers and you see good improvement. I think there's something to be said about that. 41.85 over a 3-year average. Give him 19 games with the Rangers and he improves to 64.88. I think there's really something to be said about that. Put him in the right environment. He's not going to be doing a lot for you in terms of maybe driving offense in you're talking about all the micro stats that we can look at in a moment here. But in terms of being able to set up those goals, finish those opportunities, he's got it. He's still got it. Patty Kane. So what Jay Fresh says here about Kane is that he's a veteran playmaker. For years, his pre-shot passing has been a model breaker, but it took a big hit last season, especially after the deadline. Even though he's still putting up those numbers and the goals and the primary assists per 60, the rest was still taking a hit. Play away from the puck has been a huge problem, and he's coming off of major hip surgery. Now, if we go a little deeper and look at the microstats card here, this is from last season. So before 2022, that middle column would have been bright blue. Right here, this would have been all bright blue, 85 plus percentile, 90 plus percentile. And contrary to some expectations, it did not get better with more talent around him in New York. He needs a big post-surgery bounce back. So what I've been saying is he's still not driving offense in that way, high in-zone shot assists, whatever, shots off high danger passes, zone exits, shot contributions. He's still not at where he has been, but he is still up there for the goals, for the rush shots, for the rush shot assists. He's able to still move quickly. He's still able to set up plays on the fly, rush offense, 80th percentile, still finishing in that 82nd percentile. But at the same time, let's be honest, let's not fool ourselves either. He has had major struggles away from the puck. I'll clarify. Now, historically, Patrick Kane is a monster. If we just want to dig back into the numbers here, always up there for the Lady Byng, for the Hart. He's had in his career, what has he won in his career? He has 3 Stanley Cups, a Calder, he has an Art Ross, he has a Conn Smythe, he has a Hart, he has a Pearson. He's on the NHL's 100th anniversary team. This is not a washed-up veteran who's trying to recapture something. This is someone who's still got some gas in the tank. Now, especially that this surgery that Patrick Kane underwent, this surgery is not a typical surgery that you'd see from someone who's getting older, and now you're concerned about their injury proneness. This hip resurfacing injury is a surgery that should allow him to be able to have longevity. So I'm not a medical professional, but what I've been reading about this surgery is that it's one that will allow him to be at the highest level for the longest time possible. Doing this surgery should be able to keep him healthy enough over the next few years, not just a band-aid, but an actual hip resurfacing 4 to 6 month recovery. This should allow him to get back to his highest level. Now, that highest level will still be hindered due to age, due to teammates, or whatever else. But I do think that this is a very good opportunity for Patrick Kane. The stakes are not extremely high, as 1 year, $2.75 million, but the Red Wings at the same time are in the postseason hunt. Right now, this was a bit surprising for me. I thought they were in a wild card spot, but no, the Red Wings are in a divisional spot right now, third in the Atlantic with an 11-6-3 record through 20 games played. That puts them a couple points up on the Red Wings, who on the Maple Leafs have a game in hand. So I wouldn't say that's locked up by any means, but I would say that the Red Wings are definitely competing for a spot. While you would think that they may still be in that tweener zone, they seem to be making a push for at least the postseason this year. And it gets me so angry. I was listening to TVA earlier, JIC, with what's his name, Jean Charles and Tony Marinaro were talking earlier on TVA on the TV earlier this evening, talking about, oh, well, the Canadiens could have gone after Patrick Kane, but I guess he'll want to go to a team that could make the postseason. But if they came to the Canadiens, it would have helped the power play. Are you delusional? Are you delusional? Come on now. This was never going to happen. Patrick Kane was never even, the Canadiens weren't even a twinkling in the depths of his eyes. So that's just separate rant. But just say the Red Wings are not necessarily a competing team, but they are pushing for the postseason, and Patty Kane as a part of that is a huge boost, not a little boost, a huge boost. It's a very tight Eastern Conference, mostly thanks in part to the Senators being a lot worse than people thought, the Devils being way worse than people thought, the Penguins and the Sabres both being like 500 a quarter of the season through, the Capitals being better than people thought. So it's an interesting Eastern Conference picture, still with the Rangers, the Hurricanes, the Flyers, who I thought were going to be the worst team in the NHL as well. So it's a very interesting Eastern Conference picture, especially in the Atlantic. You know what? I'm going to say just the East. The Metropolitan is super interesting as well. So that's the current situation for the Red Wings. In terms of their salary cap, they could have gone more expensive. So Stevie Y pulled a good one here. So pull out the calculator again, 4.332308 minus the 2.75 they're paying him, that still leaves the Red Wings with 1.58-ish million. 1.58 million doesn't allow you to do that much, but it does give you some maneuverability as we get into the deeper part of the season. And they still have a first, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. They still have not all of their own draft picks, but they have a pick in every round, at least one pick in every round over the next 3 years. So the Red Wings are in a good spot. They have the money. They're not necessarily in a tight position either because their core is signed long-term. The most difficult one is Moritz Seider, actually, who would think shouldn't have any problem resigning when you have a lot of expiring contracts here. So yes, for sure, Hobbsy. The Senators do have a lot of teams and games in hand. I thought you'd say something along those lines. So but it is surprising that they are where they are through their games played. So the Red Wings are in a fine spot this year and moving forward. This is the key right now, ladies and gentlemen. They can afford to make a run for the postseason, not go all in for the cup, not say, forget it, let's try and get a mid-draft pick. They have built up enough capital through their draft picks, through their prospects, through their current situation to afford a run to the postseason. A team like Minnesota, for example, where Bill Guerin is saying, we're still pushing for the playoffs. No. Let me pump the brakes on that, Bill. Your team needs a good draft pick. Your team cannot afford to not get a high pick. The Red Wings, I'm not saying they wouldn't like an extra pick, but the Red Wings can afford to say, you know what, let's go on a run. And that run may lead to a guy like Patrick Kane saying, you know what, I'm happy here. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it up. If he could recapture 20 goals, 50 assists kind of presence on that team, that would be incredible. Now, I'd love to see how the numbers change for Alex DeBrincat. over the next over the course of the rest of the season. That would be exciting. DeBrincat, I don't have his numbers pulled up, but one of the top finishers in the NHL, we know that. So put one of the top finishers with one of the top playmakers, and you could get something electric. So those are pretty much all my thoughts on Patty Kane. I think it's a fantastic move by the Red Wings. I think there's a great fit as well. So hats off to the Red Wings for making that move. Great move that really fits well, in my opinion, on a team that really makes sense. Not a team that's at the top that doesn't have the money. Not a team at the bottom that's just going to pay Patrick Kane to sell some jerseys and get some people in the seats. An actual team that's trying to do something this year. This is the perfect situation for Patrick Kane to say, I'm going to help you and you're going to help me. Because Patrick Kane, if he's going to be scoring 20 goals, 60 assists, he's going to be wanting his 6, 7, 8, whatever $million. So 1 year, 2.75. He's going to play for 60 games. We're going to see what happens. He's going to get his big contract next offseason, which I think still, his career still has a lot of years ahead of it, I think. He's 35 years of age. I still think he could play until his late 30s. I could still see 3-4 more seasons at least from Patrick Kane with this surgery. With his type of play style, with the way that he plays the game, it does lend to longevity, in my opinion. So that's about all I have to say on Patty Kane, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go back through your comments. A lot of people had thoughts that I just had to kind of skim over as I gave mine. Dabrowski saying, good move by Detroit. They get a veteran and elite player in Kane. Also good for DeBrincat as he gets a former teammate and mentor. So I say Alex DeBrincat can be a good finisher with Patty Kane. That's not just a hope. That's something that's already been seen in past years in Alex DeBrincat's 40-goal seasons. They have the chemistry. They have the history. So there's a lot of value that goes into that as well. He will be a cornerstone in that organization and will be very useful. Absolutely. Just a start for Stevie Y, says Brian Michalak. If he's bringing on Kane, he must think this team can make a legitimate playoff push. Absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, for sure. Legend. I think Jay Fresh, makes it look worse than it is. And he admits to that. The analytics don't really, kind of breaks the model. But I do think that when you look at the microstats, it gives a bit more of a broad picture on that. I wonder. My name is Mud saying, I wonder if they're going to pair him with DeBrincat. I would think that's one of the main reasons they would bring him in. So I could see him playing elsewhere, kind of getting into the groove of things. But when he's really in the heart of the season, I would think that they have to be like almost inseparable. Golden saying, I'm excited to see him unite with DeBrincat. Magic could be made if they do end up playing together. Even playing with Larkin wouldn't be bad. I would think that Larkin is a guarantee. The Wings can kind of move a bit more, but I would think him playing with Larkin would be almost a lock. I don't know if you want to put Patty Kane with a JT Compher or an Andrew Kopp. I don't know if those are really complementary play styles. Gold saying 2.75 isn't bad either. Some players who are worse got signed for more at free agency, right? So it goes to show that when you're later on in the season, contract negotiations will be very different. Just going through the rest here. Juice saying, I'd like to see him play with Cat on the second line, but TBH, I think he might be more so a third line support player and, of course, a power play specialist. I think Kane will be that eventually, but I think at this point in his career, I think at the beginning, he might start like that a few games in, but I still think he's got a lot of gas left in the tank. I think he still put up solid numbers with the Rangers as well. If I just put up the numbers quickly on the ice time, with the Rangers, he was averaging, 17.29 of ice time per night. I think he could still play big top 6 minutes. No penalty kill, only first unit power play. I think he can still be a guy that you control a little bit, but still a top 6 guy. Not 22 minutes a night, but I still think he's up there. Just want to scroll through everything else. Detroit, kind of like the New Jersey last year, not contending, but need the playoff experience. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Vasi saying it's an interesting one. In my opinion, I feel the fit was just better with Florida or Buffalo. I could have seen Florida. Buffalo, I don't know. Buffalo, I won't go into a big thing on Buffalo, but I cannot believe where they are in standings this year. I thought they were going to be one of the top teams. I don't know. I think Patty Kane sees that as well. He wants to go with the team. I don't know if he wants to be the savior of a team. Does he want to go somewhere and be the savior, or does he want to join a group that's already doing something exciting right now? I can't put words in his mouth, but I guess that's kind of how I see it, right? So I think that's about it for our thoughts on Patty Kane, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little impromptu data cast here this evening. As per usual, we like to do it on breaking news, but when it happens in the middle of a workday, it's not always possible, unfortunately. So if you haven't already, be sure to be subscribed for ongoing breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey as we get closer to the trade deadline, slowly, as well as our ongoing franchise mode series on the channel on NHL 24. We'll be live in a couple evenings, about 48 hours from now, for continuation with our San Francisco Starfleet expansion franchise, and keep an eye out for continued episodes of our Vancouver Canucks franchise mode as well. So if you haven't joined the team already, we'd love to have you. Our Discord servers, we're always talking a lot more about hockey. When it broke, there were already discussions that were happening the second that the news broke. So if you can't always make it for the streams, be a part of the Discord server. You'll be notified when breaking news happens in the NHL and talking more about sports and your franchise modes as well. Vasi, buddy, have a good one. See you Thursday night with Starfleet. Live long and prosper, my friend. No, Perry, that would be a whole nother video. That'll be a whole nother video to talk about Corey Perry. A big couple of days in the NHL with the Wild firing their head coach as well. I think we're all in already for the most part. Of course, join the Discord if you haven't already. And Gold saying, just gotta hope we don't have a repeat of Timo Meier near the deadline last year. That stream lasted for that was what? Like, we were waiting on the news for how long, right? Ridiculous. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here. Have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday evening. If we don't talk sooner than Thursday night, we'll talk Thursday night, but if not, then I'll see you in the Discord server. So thanks again. Leave your thoughts down here on YouTube if you are watching after you've gone live. Is this a win for the Red Wings? What do you need to see from Patty Kane for it to be worth the Red Wings' times? Are they a true postseason contender to make the postseason? Let me know what you have to say about that. I look forward to reading it all and discussing with you down in the comments. Have a great evening, and we'll talk soon, everybody. Good night.